in the background, I actually was listening to my clock wind chimes. So it gave me an indication that it was really time to start. So good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. I am Rhonda Carson-Leach, and I am Senior Program Director with the Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence. On behalf of the IEE, it is my pleasure to welcome all of you here today, to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of this webinar, which is very relevant in these turbulent times, and I know that you will enjoy it as our speaker presents it so well and eloquently. I know that this is not a normal platform generally for us, but of course COVID-19 has impacted every business in some way. But the Institute is here to help you. We've recognized the need for up-to-date resources and also assistance to your business during these uncertain times. We are happy that the IEE and along with the SBDC, with their new Center of Excellence for Digital Services, is able to come together as a partnership and to actually put on this program for you today. So thank you so much to Ray Vargo and his team and everyone else who's made this possible. We cannot make this possible on our own. We need assistance. And so we have fabulous sponsors that always support our efforts. And I'd like to thank PNC Bank, Meyer, Unkovich and Scott, UPS, UPMC Health Plan, AT&T, Insco Long Insurance Group, Cohen and Company. We have Wilkie and Associates, C-Level, and Net Experts. And again, we thank them for their continuous support because without their efforts, we could not put on these world-class seminars virtually, and also when we get back to a little normal, even in person. So thank you once again. I'd like to remind all of you about our upcoming program. So on Monday, June 22nd, we will have Rita McGrath, and her presentation will be Seen Around Corners, How to Spot Inflection Points in Business. And I know that's really going to be a worthwhile seminar. And so please, if you haven't signed up, please do so. Again, that will be on Monday, June 22nd from 1 until 3 p.m. I am very excited to have the pleasure to introduce our speaker for the hour, Mr. Chris Vendilli. Chris is the founder and CEO of ProFrom Go. Say that fast 3 times. That'll really get you tongue-tied there. Internet marketing. I love that name though. Chris is actually going to deliver his presentation today titled Get Automated, Sales and Marketing Tools and Best Practices for the New Normal. Chris has quite an impressive background bio, and I'd like to share a little bit of that with you today. So ProFrom Go is a Pittsburgh-based digital marketing agency, and the company is a certified veteran-owned business that primarily helps B2B manufacturers and professional services companies increase online visibility, improve their sales processes, and even delight their customers. So that's a great thing. He's a veteran of the United States Air Force, where he led security forces Raven teams on missions around the globe. Additionally, Chris has served 8 years with the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, where he spent the latter half of his time there as a detective in the computer crime unit. He's a lifelong technophile turned entrepreneur, and he currently resides in Wexford, PA, in a house full of ladies. Chris, I love that, with his little girls, his 3 young daughters, and his beautiful wife, Tracy. And so I could go on with Chris. Again, very impressive background. We're so excited to have him today. So Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you execute your presentation today of Get Automated Sales and Marketing Tools.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. I really appreciate it. I've been a member of IEE. I went through the EFC class 5 or 6 years ago. It was incredibly valuable curriculum, and we still stay involved with the peer forum. So I've been an attendee on several of these webinars. This is my first opportunity to present. So thank you all very much for the opportunity there at Pitt. I really appreciate it. I know John does as well. And I'm looking forward to spending the next hour talking a little bit about some of the things that we do. So I always like to kind of start off my presentations with an eye-catching statistic or statement. So this is from a study from genius.com, a demand gen study. And what they found was that 66% of buyers indicate that consistent and relevant communication provided by both sales and marketing is a key influencing factor as they decide on a solutions provider. So quick example of what that looks like when done improperly. If your marketing is putting out a message or making promises that your sales team is unfamiliar with or unable to follow up on to keep the entire buying experience kind of in sync and without contradicting yourself as an organization, that can be a major problem. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can overcome that today. Three things I'd like to sort of present you with is one, a basic level education of how sales and marketing automation could work for your business. Going to give you a little bit of a framework on how to detect if it might be time to consider leveling up in this area, or maybe even clarifying that it isn't the right time quite yet to make this type of investment. And then I'm going to spend the majority of today talking about ideas and examples of sales and marketing automation in action to help get the idea wheel turning for your specific organization. We do have a good amount of content to cover, so I'm going to ask that post the questions in the chat as they come up. John from my team is tuned in, and he's going to start to kind of organize the questions and probably even chat with you a bit in the chat panel there. But I'm going to attempt to address all the questions at the end because we have a good bit to cover. So we're going to first go over marketing automation and sales automation, just basic definitions and 101 level introduction. I'm going to talk about that framework, when and how to use automation, what not to do, and how you can make it work for your particular organization. The devil truly is in the details when it comes to these types of initiatives. And then we're going to spend most of today showing you some real world examples of sales and marketing automation in action to give you a better idea of how you can use it. So as Rhonda mentioned, ProFrom Go is my agency. We have an office located in the South Side on Terminal Way, not far from Station Square. We have about 8 full-time team members, several subcontractors that we work with as needed. And then as far as my personal background, I'm a military veteran. I was a computer forensic detective for the last half of my 8-year career with the Pittsburgh police. And in my free time, I spend lots of time with these ladies. So as Rhonda mentioned, these are the little ones that keep me looking for new projects every day. Superwoman, there's my niece. The other 3 are mine. And we just celebrated my middle child, Julia. She's down there in the middle, her 5th birthday a few days ago. ProFrom Go is a veteran-owned and certified small business. We've won several awards for SEO, marketing automation, and web design. And we take staying innovative and keeping up to speed on what's trending in our industry very seriously. This is a photo of our team at HubSpot's annual conference up in Boston this past September. So we try to get up there every year for a week of training and workshops. So diving into this content here, when sales and marketing automation is done right, it will help you get the right message to the right person at the right time. That's what we're really after, is staying relevant and in context with the needs of your prospective leads or opportunities. So to quickly address a common misconception with marketing automation, when we talk to in-house marketers who work with our clients, we frequently find sometimes they're kind of intimidated or scared or even put off by this idea. Marketing automation suggests it's kind of mechanically optimizing the process of marketing, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Marketing automation should not scare the marketer. It should actually get the marketer excited. The goal here is to exponentially improve their ability to communicate at scale while keeping it tailored. And at the end of the day, all marketing programs need a smart person to kind of lead and quarterback them and drive that strategy. So don't let that term confuse you. While it does help you be more productive with a smaller team, it isn't necessarily meant to replace the people who need to kind of stay involved in these processes. So quick definitions, marketing automation is all about using software to automate marketing activities, whether it's social media scheduling and publishing at the most basic level, or sending out broadcast emails to your customers or prospective customers, or even some more advanced tactics like we're going to share today, sending people the right message at precisely the right time, based on either a product shelf life or a significant date or anniversary in their relationship with your company. There's lots of different ways to cleverly kind of plan these campaigns, and even make them somewhat evergreen so they just keep running like a little lead nurturing machine under the hood. Sales automation, on the other hand, oh, my slides are jumping around there. Sales automation, on the other hand, is really about kind of mechanizing those time-consuming tasks. Another study that I saw recently, I'm kind of a nerd for those market research studies in the MarTech space, suggested that the average sales rep spends more than 20% of their day entering data or doing administrative work, which in effect takes away from their ability to build relationships, build rapport, and get out there and sell. So we're going to talk a little bit today about some of the tools that they can leverage to help them do less of that administrative stuff and more of that selling stuff that only a human being can do. A few high-level examples, and we'll get way into the weeds with a few of these a little bit later on in the presentation, but we've probably all seen at this point content offers. They're also referred to as premium content or gated content or lead magnets. And a good example of that would be like a checklist or an ebook or a white paper. It's a give and a get. So in order to get that checklist, we ask you a few questions. One of the great things about the software we work with is you can even progressively profile your prospects or leads or website visitors, so that if they've previously filled out a form and requested a premium content offer, then they go to request a different one, we might ask them other questions, ones they haven't answered before, to continue kind of building the lead intelligence that we have for that person. Blog newsletter subscriptions are a very basic and common example of marketing automation. If you enjoy reading this blog, please give us your email address, and then you can choose. Do you want to be notified as soon as a new blog post is published, maybe once a week, or maybe get like a monthly digest of recent posts, where they can kind of set the terms. Pre-seminar and post-seminar or event workflows are also very popular. Setting up registration pages like the event you're attending here today, this webinar, and then reminding people that this webinar is coming up and what to do to prepare. And then on the contrary, sending those post-webinar surveys or follow-up emails. A lot of that can be planned ahead of time, and then it can sort of run itself. We also have some examples we'll share of how to identify engaged contacts or prospects, and some tips for what you can do to keep the momentum with them, and how to warm up those unengaged contacts. On the sales automation side, a few of the examples we're going to talk about is some automations that you can put in place when the status or stage of an opportunity or deal in your pipeline may change. Assigning tasks for following up automatically, just to ensure that follow-up is consistent. Internal notifications are a very powerful and underrated automation opportunity. And what I mean by that is, if a prospect exhibits a behavior or does a certain thing, whether it's by way of opening an email or visiting a page on your website, we sound an alarm and let someone know. And I'm going to talk a little bit about working with your sales data and some of the automations you can do there to copy, clear, increase, decrease, or change custom properties or aspects of information that you track about your leads or customers. Just to kind of set the table for some of the examples I'm going to present to you, we are a HubSpot Platinum partner. That is our flavor. It's our favorite marketing and sales automation software that we typically work with. However, a lot of the examples I'm going to share could be utilized with whichever software you choose. So in the HubSpot world, just to put things in context, I like to kind of describe how that works. So there's three primary objects in HubSpot that you can kind of are like the building blocks of how you plan and schedule this follow-up. So there's contact records. Those are basically the people who are in your database. There's company records. That's the places those people work. And then there are deal records, which is the context you can add to those contacts and companies to kind of, for internal use only, remind yourself of what you're trying to sell to them and how that conversation has, twisted or turned or evolved or unfolded. Typically, some of the things I'm going to talk about today work best when you have a consultative sales process, a high lifetime customer value, or a high average transaction value, just because of the economics of implementing some of these ideas. So I'm going to start to talk a little bit about the framework of when to determine if it may be a good idea to start leveraging some of these concepts. TOFU, MOFU, and BOFU in our world stand for the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel. So if you can imagine your marketing initiatives and your sales initiatives as a funnel, where at the top of that funnel you have new prospects, new visitors, kind of mildly warm or even cold contacts who are first kind of hearing about what you do. And then your goal is to kind of move them through that funnel as they kind of head down to the bottom side of the funnel, where they may come out on the other end as a customer, by kind of warming them up and nurturing them. A lot of the automation can happen at that kind of middle of the funnel stage, where you've got the contacts and now it's your job to kind of keep them engaged and get them to take next steps with you, whether that's a sales appointment or a demo or a free sample, whatever it looks like in your unique world. The goal is to get them from the top of the funnel to the bottom of the funnel. So usually a good indicator that sales and marketing automation tools will be pertinent and helpful is that your top of the funnel is very healthy. You've got a lot of content, you're getting quality traffic, you're getting a significant amount of visitors and people requesting information. And now the goal is to move them through the funnel, get them warmed up and qualified so that you're maximizing your sales reps' time and attention with the people who are ready to buy. One of the common mistakes or missteps we see are companies trying to put some of these solutions in place a little bit prematurely. So if web traffic or the number of conversations you're having is a little bit of an issue, you probably want to start there first before exploring the investment of tools like HubSpot or Marketo or Pardot or Salesforce. There's lots of them out there. Or if you have a small database, you might not need the full-scale marketing automation. A simple CRM, more basic, may work for you. So and having a small database may not necessarily even be a bad thing. We've even worked with some customers where they have an extremely laser focused niche product or service, and the whole market potential for what they sell is just kind of tiny compared to your typical business product or service. So if you don't have, I'd say at least several hundred, if not thousands of contacts that you're looking to follow up with, marketing automation and some of these tools and strategies might be a little bit of overkill for you. In short, the efficiency isn't really as necessary when you're just not as busy. So these tools really do help you communicate with a larger audience, keeping it in context and tailored, without having so many one-to-one conversations. The next thing I'm going to touch on as I kind of set the table for how sales and marketing automation work is workflows. They're referred to as workflows in the HubSpot world. Other tools like Pardot or ActiveCampaign that do similar things to HubSpot also referred to as automation rules or automations. And essentially what a workflow is an automated sequence of actions that will happen once a condition is met or a triggering event occurs. Great example that I like to share. This was a client success story. This was a B2C type business, an entertainment complex. They've given us permission to use their example. Coronavirus times have been a little bit difficult for them, but they've recently reopened. The company is called Zone 28. They participate in lots of local events. So if anyone from Zone 28 is here today, hello. we set up a strategy for them that basically was based on children's birth dates. So parents could register for a VIP program that we set up on their website. When the parent registered for the VIP program, we asked them about their children, names, dates of birth, male, female, age, interests, with the promise of once you register for VIP and let us know a little bit about your kids, we'll send you special offers and promotions to bring your kids back to Zone 28. Our ultimate goal is to help them book more birthday parties, in addition to a gigantic laser tag arena, bowling alley, and arcade, amongst lots of other attractions. Birthday parties are kind of a staple for them, and they have, I believe it's 5 or 6 different party rooms that they try to keep consistently booked up. So we plan this VIP program in an effort to collect and enrich their data by getting people to tell us, who they are, what their interests are, and some information about their children. And then we set up these automations so that once the child's birth date is known, 45 days, 20 days, and 10 days before that child's birthday, they would receive promotional offers that were highly personalized and coming at the precise right time for that particular parent. So in my case, I actually am a receiver of some of these automations. I'm also a fan of Zone 28 in addition to helping them with their marketing. So I would get an email about a month and a half before my daughter's birthday that would say something like, Chris, Natalie's birthday is just 45 days away. Are you ready? And you open it and there's a nice graphical coupon code in there that basically says, let Zone 28 take all the stress away from having a child's birthday party at your house. It would show their party packages. And then again, 20 and 10 days before, for the parents who procrastinate, we found that on that third email, we saw great open rates, and we were able to track how that helped increase the birthday party room bookings. The great thing about that workflow, and something I always encourage our clients to keep in mind, is it's evergreen. Every month there's more kids that have more birthdays, and it can run year over year. The same email coming a year later with the same coupon is still welcomed because it's on time and it's helpful. So when you think about planning your automation campaigns to be evergreen wherever possible, it really gives you the benefit of being able to just perpetually tune it up, analyze it. And a great thing about some of these tools is we can see which emails are being opened, which links are being clicked, who is opening them and why, who is not opening them, and can we send them another email maybe with a different subject line. So we can just keep building off of it and improving it over time when it's an evergreen workflow, which is, again, our favorite. So some of the times you can use workflows, and again, keep in mind a lot of the screenshots we're going to share, or I'm going to share in this presentation, are from HubSpot, but the concepts can translate to other softwares or tools. Great times to use workflows when you do have a good amount of leads, but you're kind of putting off or ignoring the ones who aren't exhibiting buying behavior. Sometimes that can be a mistake. Just because they're not telling you that they're hot to trot doesn't mean they're not hot to trot. Some of these tools can help you identify not only what they're saying to you, but also what they're doing. They can help you identify if they're kind of in market and maybe being closer to ready to buy than you may have realized. If you're hearing feedback from your sales reps or sales team that leads you're passing off to them from your website or organic efforts aren't ready to buy, marketing automation can certainly help you kind of keep tabs on them and warm them up with some of these campaigns along the lines of what I mentioned. If you're sending the same email to your entire database, that's probably a good indicator that you can segment that list a little bit more intelligently and keep those emails much more tailored to their needs or interests. If you're collecting information about your prospects, but you're not using it to kind of segment them and divide them up based on interests, that's another good indicator. Offers and messaging need to be based on what people are interested in. I think one of the Sandler sales metaphors you hear a lot is, if someone wants to buy a blue suit, sell them a blue suit. I think this is a tool that can really help you identify those interests, keep tabs on them, and keep your follow-up really tailored. If you're doing a lot of your follow-up manually, this is another good indicator as we talk about some of the sales automation tools a little bit later. If you're finding yourself having to update massive lists of contacts in Excel, some of the data automations you can do in a tool like this can save you massive amounts of time. And of course, if you're looking to convert leads into customers, with some lead nurturing processes. So now it's time to talk about some of the triggers that are involved with those starting conditions to plan your workflow. So if you imagine a form on your website, like for example, you're giving away a checklist that helps someone know that it's time to buy what you sell. It's kind of a great strategy to educate them on autopilot without having to spend time on them quite yet, by putting a lot of production value into a helpful piece of content that they can request in exchange for giving up some information. When they fill out that form, you can ask them any question you want. I'm a big fan of drop-down boxes or multi-select boxes, so we can kind of present to them the typical answers. Based on how they fill out that form or respond, we can automatically segment them or divide those lists up. So example I use a lot is, favorite shirt color. If they say red or blue or green or purple, you can then create a list of everyone who likes blue versus everyone who likes purple, everyone who likes red. Translate that to your products and services. What are the unique attributes or characteristics of those products or services? And how can you turn that into a question when they're requesting an offer, a piece of content that's very low friction? It's like I said, a kind of a transactional give and a get that puts them in the top of that funnel, where you then collected some intelligence and can follow up with them while keeping it tailored and market at scale. So custom properties kind of feed into these forms and are a great way to establish those starting conditions. Some of the softer triggers that you can play off of would even be page views. So another common one, an example I like to use in that case is if there are certain pages of your site that suggest there's a higher buyer's intent. For example, a pricing page. If you have published pricing and you see that Joe Schmo prospect has visited the pricing page 3 times in the past week, that might be a great workflow to set up an internal notification. Anytime one of our contacts views our pricing page numerous times, we get an alert. We can decide to follow up with them. We might even send them like a template email that we very quickly customize and have that template kind of sitting on deck in the system. So just a few quick examples here. Over on the right, this is a screenshot from the software. Any custom property you can think of can be utilized in a form where they tell you what they want, what they need, how they feel, whatever you may ask. And then those properties can be used to sort, segment, and divide your contacts for that tailored follow-up. The actions are what you can do to follow up with these prospects when the conditions are met. So here's a few screenshots from some of the available actions within HubSpot. Some of the more popular ones are creating and assigning internal tasks. For example, someone viewed that pricing page 3 times, not quite sure exactly what they're interested in, their background or who they are, but we can detect that. Create a task for a human being, like someone in our office, like John, for example, that basically creates a general rule and says, if someone views that pricing page 3 times, review their contact information and reach out to them, see if they need help. Internal text notifications can also happen as a push notification through the app. Internal or external emails. At the enterprise version of the software, you can actually kick out an email to someone just because they viewed a certain piece of content on your website. Adding and removing them to lists. Back to the shirt color example, if they filled out a form and said they liked red, and then they fill out a form to request a different piece of content or a contact form, and they change their answer to blue, the system will automatically change which list they're on. You can kind of automate a lot of those things. Many of the sales automation features in here, at a glance, it's really easy to overlook the contact property values or company property values. And the ability to set, copy, or clear those, but we can come up with some really creative strategies using those features alone. Good example is any type of like lead scoring that we may do. So we've established lead scoring systems for a few of our clients that are fairly complex, where they get points basically towards their lead score for opening emails, clicking links, viewing web pages, repeating visits to the website. And then we can divide them up by lead score, which is a little bit more of a behavioral analysis of what they may be interested in. So we can come into the system later once we've established our lead scoring strategy and say, show me everyone with a lead score over 70 who hasn't been on our website in a month and does not have an open deal with a sales rep. And those may be great people to call on a rainy day. Some of the other company actions, similarly, you can update, copy, clear, increase or decrease certain values that you might establish at the company level. And then when you add in the available integrations, apps, triggers, and webhooks, you can start to pull data in from other sources outside of HubSpot and take automated action or follow-up based on what you pull in. So I know some of that probably sounds like Sputnik, but as we get into the actual examples here shortly, I think that will be help give you some clarity on ideas of how you can use this for your organization. To kind of conclude the framework of how to determine if and when it's time to consider automating some of your sales or marketing, one of the easiest things to do is to ask yourself, what custom properties could you set up if you had a tool like this? Ones we encourage our clients to think about, or anyone who's considering marketing automation. What are the unique attributes or characteristics of your product or service? What are the things you need to know about your contacts or the companies they work for? If you need to know the number of employees, if your quote is based on the head count of the company you're selling to, that's a great custom property to put on the contact record and maybe the company record too. In the background, we've set up automations where if the sales rep puts the number of employees in at the contact level but forgets to put it at the company level, we automatically copy that value to the company level, which in turn cascades it down to any other contacts at that company. So no matter which contact record the sales rep may have been looking at, when they entered the number of employees, it effectively gets updated at the company level, then trickles down to all the other contacts at that company. Good example of automation for a custom property there. As far as once you've established those properties and how you'll follow up, that's where you'll start to kind of look at existing processes you may have in your business. Start to ask yourself which ones you can automate. If you have anyone such as like an executive assistant or administrative assistant who frequently finds themselves spending a good chunk of their day following rules that were kind of made on the fly to address gaps or potholes, such as, whenever someone fills out a form on our website and you get the email, I want you to call that one sales rep who no one makes eye contact with because they exceed their quota every month, and let them know, if the form submission fits these criteria. If you have any kind of weird rules like that, that are prone to human error, those are great things you can automate. If someone fills out the contact us form and they say their budget's over $10 million, I want the lights to blink in the office and our top sales rep to get the email. Those are the types of actions that can really help streamline your processes between sales and marketing. One of the most common campaigns that we set up is moving people through the middle of the funnel. You have those contacts, they've expressed an interest, they want to have an experience with your brand. But as we all know, in 2020, people tend to go further through the buyer's journey before they want to talk to sales. Think about your own buying behavior, especially in this internet age. Back in the day, going back to like the late 90s, if you were looking for, whether it's a contractor or a service provider, you typically would ask around. You'd ask the people you trust, your friends, your family. People still do that. We get pushback and objections sometimes. I'm in a relationship-driven industry. This isn't as important to me. And I hear all that. I understand it. My comeback to that would be, even when they hear about you, they're still going to go research you the same way that most tech-savvy buyers do today. If you're buying things on the internet without first checking the price on Amazon, you might be leaving money on the table, and the same is true for a B2B buying process. So by having some of these tools in place, even if you're in a relationship-driven industry, it gives you a little bit of a competitive advantage in terms of your follow-through and follow-up. So in a lead nurturing campaign, The first thing we like to do is determine the goal. Are we trying to wake up cold leads? Are we trying to get the conversation rekindled? Are we trying to increase the quality of the leads before we hand them off to sales? Are we trying to obtain fresh or new leads from a new source? Another often overlooked step is that ideal customer profile or persona development. We like to kind of dissect what you know about your customers, find commonalities, stereotype them a little bit based on your sort of gut experience with them, so that we can figure out what their problems and challenges are and create content or solutions that really address those challenges, and let them know we really understand them. The next step when you're planning a campaign like this is to kind of audit your content, whether you're creating new content for this particular campaign or you're repurposing or cannibalizing some content you may have, and compare and contrast it with where this persona is going to be in that buyer's journey. Are they kind of at the initial awareness stage, or have they identified that they have a need or a problem and now they're considering the possible solutions in the consideration stage, or maybe they all the way down to that decision stage, where you might want to give them content or information that helps them decide or pick you, for lack of a better term. Always prime the sales pump. That's the important piece here, to make sure that sales and marketing stays in lockstep. That way the prospect or lead has a great experience with your brand, and the rug doesn't move on them. So basically, anytime you plan these campaigns, get some buy-in and direction and steering from the sales team. Sometimes there's a natural rub or friction between sales and marketing. The sales team tends to say the lead quality wasn't great enough, and the marketing team tends to retort back that the sales team can't close. But when you create a campaign like this, it's a great opportunity to get those two different functions working together. And in a smaller company, if you have a kind of a one-man or one-woman band handling the sales and the marketing, just simply thinking through like what you're going to say if this campaign is successful to the prospects who flow through this campaign and evolve into a sales conversation. Next step is the post-mortem. So once these campaigns are executed and complete, there's lots of data points. As you dive into the software, you can pick them apart, see where there may be room for improvement. One of the things we love to say at ProFrom Go is we either win or we learn. We rarely lose, because worst case scenario, we will learn that that is the type of campaign we should not do again. I think probably 1, maybe 2 out of 5 marketing campaigns or initiatives are moderately or highly successful. The remainder are either unsuccessful or need significant tune-up in order to be worthwhile to continue. And then once you've kind of done your post-mortem, like I said, you either win or you learn. You decide if that's a campaign that you want to let live on, or potentially tune up, or maybe abandon. Now we're going to dive into some of the examples. That's Brian Halligan, who's one of the co-founders of HubSpot. I've had the opportunity to meet a few times. So going back to that premium content offer, this is one of the most popular examples of inbound marketing and marketing automation in action. The way we use this particular one, we blog pretty consistently. We talk about website design trends, best practices, updates in the web development world. And at the end of each of those blog posts, we have a call to action that says something to the effect of, if you found this blog topic helpful, feel free to, and you're considering a redesign, consider downloading our checklist with a big visual graphic that takes them here. If they do decide that they'd like to grab that checklist, they fill out the form. They get an email that we wrote about 4 years ago that says, we'd like to thank you for browsing our library of resources. Here's how you can download your checklist. Would you like to check out our case studies or success stories? If they click on that link, we know. If they open that email, we know. If they don't open that email, we can send an email with a different subject line that's a bit catchier, and we know. And we can basically plan out all the ways this could go or not go, and set up our email response in advance where it stays personalized and appears in their inbox almost on demand. If they do click that link, or whatever they may or may not do, we get internal notifications. We may not necessarily call them right away or email them right away. It's kind of a nice to know that so-and-so viewed this content offer or downloaded this content offer, that sort of thing. Depending on the actions of the user, the person who requested that checklist, At some point, they may get an email from us automatically, or maybe even manually, that says, would you like to schedule a consultation with us? If they click the link in that email, they can see a calendar that shows our availability. They can pick the date and time that works best for them. And there's almost never a week that goes by that we don't wake up one day and see some new appointments on the calendar where they're warmed up, they're educated, they know what we do, and they scheduled themselves, at which point we can review their contact record and history within our software and see what pages they looked at, which documents they paused on, that sort of thing. Next one I did reference earlier, this is the blog subscriber workflow. This is, when someone does visit your blog and they're reading it, you can show a pop-up box or maybe a box in the sidebar that gives them the option to subscribe to your blog, which is a great way to stay top of mind, and is even overlooked for, this is a great way to stay in front of your existing customers who, when you really take great care of them and delight them, can become good referral sources. And a referral strategy is yet another thing you can automate with your engaged contacts. This follow-up email's a bit uglier. Another good example here. This is this one has a bit more utility, but when you mark a deal closed won in the sales software, you can automatically kick out emails like this one that says, hey, thank you, we see you completed your order. Here's some of the homework we need you to do to have a really engaging session with us. Send them links, send them content, send them information, and start to automate some of your kind of operational processes to get that customer, ready to buy or to have a good experience with you. This next one is slightly more advanced. We can set up some tracking within the tools to basically say, move this person to a list if we can see that they're highly engaged. One way to use this workflow is like a combination of lead scoring and they are an existing customer, in which case you can automate some messages to them and say, hey, because I saw you looked at these few blog posts, we think you might be interested in this new blog post. In reality, our ulterior motive is that new blog post might not have as much traction or be getting as much traffic as some of our other content. And we actually ask them to share that. If you find this helpful, would you mind posting it to Facebook or LinkedIn? Lead nurturing workflow. I think this one is a good example. I was on the receiving end of this. Quick backstory, we were considering moving from the enterprise SEO software our agency uses to a competitor because we had heard that they had made some leaps and strides. And every couple of years, we kind of reassess our systems and look to see if we're still using the kind of industry trendsetters in that space because it's kind of rapidly evolving. So long story short, I did a demo with these guys. 18 months or so later, I had chosen the alternative competing solution. I was back on their website just trying to see if they had a particular feature I was looking for. And later that afternoon, I got this email from a sales rep. I didn't request information. I didn't fill out any forms. I simply looked at a page on their site. This gentleman sent me an email introducing himself and offering up a free training session to me. I am darn near certain that that entire process was completely automated and personalized. Long story short, I bit and I scheduled the training session and we upgraded our software. If I go back here to this gentleman, I think his name was Al. Al reached out to me and I believe in automated fashion, even looked like it had some signatures that suggested he was using HubSpot that I kind of noticed. Al reached out to me offering that session. I would suspect Al probably got an email that looked like this. It said, someone who's in your funnel a long time ago came back on the website, was looking at something. We sent them this automated email and they scheduled an appointment with you. So this is what an internal automated notification might look like because those conditions were met and the actions were taken. This one's a little bit funnier, I think, lighter-hearted, little insight into Chris Vendilli and how I tend to communicate and follow up. But we have one particular sequence that we put together where if someone is in a conversation with us to potentially buy something and they start to cool off and kind of go quiet, we can manually enroll them in this workflow where it will send I believe it's 3 or 5 messages over like a period of about 3 weeks. And they kind of get increasingly relaxed. One of the last messages they get, if you were able to scroll up in the screenshot, it says something to the effect of, at one point we were discussing a potential project together. I haven't heard from you in a while. Hope everything's okay. I'm here if you need me. For now, I'm going to go ahead and close the file. Reach out anytime. It's the proverbial Sandler sales methodology, close the file. And I dropped this funny little Will Ferrell meme in there where he's crying into his glass of wine and it says, I miss you. And surprisingly, in that sequence, if they do make it all the way to the end of the sequence, this email actually tends to get people to respond fairly well. The way those sequences work, and you can set it up in the system, is, let's say we plan out a 5-message follow-up to try to warm up the people who were once talking to us and went cold, where we get progressively more playful with them to see if we can get them to bite. If they respond to, say, email number 2, it would come back to the inbox. I can resume the conversation. They never get email 3, 4, or 5. The other nice thing about the sequences tool within HubSpot in particular is at the time I enroll someone in that sequence, I can actually customize when each email in the sequence will go out, assuming they don't respond and the sequence continues. And I can also customize what it says in the body of each of those emails up front. So basically, imagine being able to write 5 follow-up emails to a single contact all at once, scheduling them, and they will get all 5 of those emails over the time period you identify on autopilot. It's pretty interesting once you start to get, I guess, a lot of dogs in the fight, for lack of a better term, with leads and prospects who are at different points in your funnel, and they start to trigger some of these automations. And then all of a sudden, you have 15 or 20 or 25 of these different rules and strategies in play. And you see people kind of starting to respond to different messages in the different sequences that are out there. Another great automation opportunity if you do any type of in-person events or webinars or seminars on a regular schedule, setting up those registration pages with pre-event instructions or information and post-event follow-ups. Did you enjoy our seminar? Would you like to schedule a consultation? Here's a link to go on my calendar. Those are some great sales and marketing activities that can easily be automated and kind of get the engine started. Abandoned cart workflows in 2020, I'd be surprised if anyone here today hasn't seen one of these, but if you put something in your shopping cart, but you don't complete that purchase, you get distracted by the kids or duty calls at work. And then you see an email like this, and it's basically a special offer to complete that purchase for exactly what you were shopping for or almost bought. That's called an abandoned cart workflow. Especially powerful if you're doing any type of e-commerce, relatively easy thing to automate. Upsell workflows, as you kind of build data on your contacts and look at some of the trends with your different products. If you see that people who purchase this particular product or service are likely to want to purchase a different product or service, that's a great segmented list to establish where you can promote and cross-promote your different products and services to them on autopilot. Some of the honorable mentions I have here, we're coming up on the 10-minute warning, so in a few minutes, I'm going to open it up for questions, and I'm going to pick up the pace here as I go through a few more of the sales automation examples. Few honorable mentions for marketing automation examples. Customer happiness, whether you measure Net Promoter Score, NPS, or you have any type of customer experience surveys that you send, that's a great thing to automate, put online. One way of automating that is if you tend to know that like your products or services 6 months after being sold, for example, and just for example, is a good time to kind of check in and see if they're happy with their decision to go with you. You can automatically send them a link to fill out a form. Anything they say in that form can kind of enrich their contact record, potentially be used to sell or cross-sell other products or services, and et cetera. Customer success metrics, really popular in SaaS type companies like software as a service. If you have any type of customer success metric that you may have, that's a great thing to keep track of in a marketing or sales automation tool. Depending on their score or that success measure that you put in place, maybe it's even just red, yellow, green, you can segment them and internally notify people to go coach up or give special attention to those who need it, or maybe even ask for a referral from those who say that they are exceedingly satisfied. Renewal reminders. We had a great example with a client. They had a product that it had about an 18-month shelf life. They sold to manufacturers, and essentially this thing kind of deteriorated over time. They knew in months 15 through 17, if the customer didn't come to them to get a quote on a replacement part, they were likely talking to a competitor. We set up a HubSpot workflow that pulled in this particular example, was integrated with Salesforce. We pulled in their last order date from Salesforce. We set up a workflow that triggered 14 months after their purchase date. It started to send emails from their sales rep, not just from the company in general, but from the sales rep they previously bought from. That would be the sender in this automation example. And it would say something to the effect of, hey, you've made this purchase about 14 months ago. I wanted to check in with you, make sure everything's running okay. Here are a few things to start looking for. This part or component typically needs replaced every 18 months. If you see these signs of wear and tear, get in touch with me. There'll be a few more follow-up reminders like that. And in effect, we're able to increase the number of customers who reorder measurably. Deal-based workflows, this kind of is a nice segue into the sales automation tools. If you imagine, for anyone who's done Sandler training, the Sandler submarine, they kind of go from, warm prospect to, in our case, meeting scheduled, potentially a demo scheduled, proposal, pending review, proposal approved, proposal sent, and then closed won, closed lost. You may have a disqualified pull for those deals where you decide that it's not a good fit for you, even though the prospect thinks it is. As you move them through those stages, you can automate the notifications that might happen to different members of your team. You can create and assign tasks to different members and users of the software, and et cetera. So I'm going to cover a few of these sales tools for about 2 minutes here. Again, kind of picking up the pace, and I'd like to have at least 5 minutes for Q&A, but I'm happy to stay as long as you like. The HubSpot tool in particular puts a lot of the information that's in the system right in your sales reps or marketing team members' inbox. So this screenshot's from, we use G Suite, which is basically a way for organizations to rebrand Gmail. So in effect, chris@ProFromGo.com is actually powered by Gmail. When I pop in there, I can click on the HubSpot add-in. In this example, I have an email with John here. I can see any information about him, his company information, any open deals with him, any open tasks I have assigned to me related to John. I can see his timeline right in my inbox, which will tell me recent activities on the website. And if there's any support tickets with John, I can see that in my inbox as well. This particular trigger will automatically create a deal and assign it to a certain person. Based on like a specific form submission. So if we have a form that is request a consultation, obviously they're interested in buying something, we can automatically gather up their contact info based on the form submission details. The HubSpot Insights database will go and fetch some company email if available based on their business email domain name. It will tee that all up for us. We can create a deal and put the context in there automatically. Deal stage automation allows you to create tasks or notify people just because the deal changed stages. So for example, it goes from proposal pending review to proposal sent. It automatically may create a task for someone on the team to reach out and schedule a proposal review. That's kind of an interesting way you can blur the lines between sales and marketing automation, and even kind of automating some of your follow-up and operations. So automating those task creations on deal stage change, it's a good automation. Internal notifications, we've kind of beat that horse a little bit, whether it's based on deal stage changes or property updates on custom properties, and et cetera. A few of the other sales tools in the HubSpot ecosystem that get honorable mention. There's a document library. You can take all of your sales and marketing collateral, PDFs, checklists, guides, white papers, things you might make available on your website. Let them live in here and then make them very easily accessible from your inbox. So when you're chatting with someone, if you think of a known resource or asset that you think they'd like to see, You can click a link in your email, click a button in your email to drop those in and access that whole repository, where you can also get analytics on how many times they're viewed and who viewed them. The meetings tool, I showed you what that looked like from the end user experience. That's basically allows people to book appointments with you just by clicking on a link. It updates their contact record and timeline in the tool so you can see when meetings were scheduled and they automatically go on your calendar. Sequences, the example I shared of a sequence was the Will Ferrell, I Miss You, crying into the glass of wine. You can see here on the left, you basically can determine how many emails you want to have in the sequence, when you want them to be sent. And these are more one-to-one communication, but allows you to schedule a series of follow-ups in one fell swoop, where you can control each message as you enroll those contacts. Snippets is another great tool. That's short reusable blocks of text. The one I use the most is probably parking instructions. Our building and parking garage down there by Station Square, it's kind of like a rat's nest. So I found myself typing the same instructions over and over. I saved it as a snippet, and with a quick keyboard shortcut, I can drop in those instructions. Templates tend to be longer emails. They're great for operational processes as well. One example I like to share is we do a lot of Google Maps photography. We're a certified Google Maps agency as well. And I tend to tell them the same things a few days between the shoot in terms of getting prepared for the photo shoot. So I save those as email templates. All these tools are available on the go through the mobile app. And I kind of wanted to wrap it up. We're just a few minutes shy of the top of the hour. Open it up for questions to see what everyone thought. Questions, feedback. My contact info is here. I really appreciate the time everyone spent, and I am happy to hang out, Rhonda, as long as the questions come in.
Chris, I had one question that came in through our QA.
Okay.
How do you get around spam filters? It's the number one reason their automated follow-ups from their sales team, get filtered, and they're wondering if there's a workaround or.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think HubSpot has an entire team of people. I'm going to comment in relation to HubSpot, since again, that's kind of our flavor, but not just HubSpot, all these tools and platforms. That's something that you're kind of enlisting the help of a team of engineers who really specialize in that. The one inbox in particular is Gmail and G Suite. There are some kind of, I don't want to say hacky, but there are somewhat hacky ways to avoid getting put into one of those secondary inbox tabs, like the promotions folder or updates folder. There's lots of blog articles on that on the HubSpot blog, I know for sure. But long story short, there's a team of folks within each of these different software companies who focus on trying to get around spam filters. And the unfortunate answer is it's elbow grease. A lot of testing is how you can kind of take the extra measures within your organization to make sure you're getting through. So doing some kind of dry runs, sending them to yourself using different email clients, and a little bit of research, you can kind of cook up a strategy to get through the filters. I'm kind of scrolling through the chat panel here to see what else we missed or I missed. Did anyone else have an issue? I saw one person said their screen froze. I'm not sure if that was a local internet issue or if it was on my end. Did the presentation come through pretty consistently for you, John?
Yeah, I had no issues. I think it might have been a local.
Okay, cool.
Philip just asked, can Google Analytics help with automation? You want to touch on that?
In a tangential way, yes. For most of our clients, we always set up Google Analytics in addition to the HubSpot tracking and analytics. What I mean by tangential is Google Analytics is really great about giving you kind of macro level analysis and insights into like what's happening. So you can see in Google Analytics pretty easily which pages are the most popular. If you're able to identify which pages are the most popular, it stands to reason that the content of that page was relevant, and it might shine some light on additional content ideas to kind of unpack that even further or in more detail to kind of create new offers or lead magnets. I think Google Analytics is great for that kind of, again, macro level steering and direction, where a tool like HubSpot or Pardot or Marketo kind of takes it to the next level, is it gives you that micro level insight where you can kind of segment and see, okay, here are all the people who filled out this form, and they chose blue. Out of the blue people, they primarily came from these top 3 blog posts, where this particular blog post is the most popular. Let's go check out that blog post URL in Google Analytics and get some more detail as to, like, are these the geography of these users, or the language of these users, or whatever other dimensions you kind of want to add to that. If anyone wants to unmute, I'm happy to. Philip, I'm not sure. Sometimes it's hard to answer without a few clarifying questions, but if you're willing to chat, I'm all up for it.
Chris, this is Ray Vargo. How you doing today?
Hey, Ray. Been a while.
I don't
How
think
are you?
our attendees have the opportunity to unmute themselves the way that it was structured. But
Oh, I see. Okay.
I do want to thank you for this great presentation. In this day and age, it's very informative and critical to learn how do we automate, how do we become more efficient in our business and moving forward. We look forward to partnering with you on future programming. We know that we continue to look for sessions and information to provide to our businesses throughout southwestern Pennsylvania in this unusual time, and today's program has been a great start. So thank you very much for your information. I think on the slide deck there was information regarding how you can get the presentation as well as to connect with you. So for those participants can really reach out if they had specific questions related to today. We do have a recording. There was another question regarding, is there a recording? We are recording this webinar, and we would hope to have it on our YouTube channel later this week. So stay tuned on that. We'll send an announcement out. And I wanted to remind everybody that you will be receiving a survey from today's program, and it's very important that you take a time, and if you can enter any additional sessions or topics you would like us to cover in further detail. We at the University of Pittsburgh, the Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence, and the Small Business Development Center are very happy to announce that we've been designated as a Center of Excellence in Digital Services, and we will continue to offer programs such as this so you can get automated one way or the other in your business. So thank you very much for today. Any closing remarks, Chris?
No, again, thank you so much for the opportunity to present to our fellow IEE members. We're pretty easy to get a hold of. Rhonda, thanks for helping to organize. Can't say thank you enough for the opportunity, so we appreciate it. Oh, Rhonda, I think you're muted. I see your lips moving though.
They were, Chris. I was just saying thank you, and everyone have a wonderful day.
Thank you.